What's your name? Call it out. Go. How lovely to meet you. Well, today I would like to share a story with you all about the story of Rat. And there is a part that you get to play in the story. Now here's how it goes. With some drumming. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a... Practice that beat with me now. Ready? How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a... And through the story, you'll hear when it's your turn to join in. Okay, well, let's start. I've got to get ready for the story. The story of Rat. Once there lived a rat who lived on the side of a great mountain with her family in a burrow. She had a loving home, a lovely family and a great view. But sometimes she had bad days, and this was one of them. She kept getting dirt up her nose as she was digging her burrow. And then she got hit in the head, ouch, with a rock. So she thought to herself, I'm sick of this. I'm going up to the surface to see what kind of day it is. And when she got to the surface, she saw it was a bright, beautiful, sunny day. And Rat thought to herself, oh, how big and golden and beautiful the sun is. It must be so much better to be the sun than being a little old rat. So she said, now it's your part, join in. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were the sun. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were the sun. And Rat turned into the sun. And it was wonderful to be the sun. She made plants grow, and the people were so happy because it was so warm and sunny. And then she started to feel a wild wind whooshing all around. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And Rat was blown in every direction. Whoosh. And Rat thought to herself, it's not so great to be the sun when something is blowing all around you, just like that. But the wind, that would be wild. So she said, everyone, how I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were the wind. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were the wind. And Rat turned into the wind. Oh, and it was wild to be the wind. Whoosh! She blew kites across the sky. She blew sailing ships across the ocean. She blew hats off people's heads and the wind up people's skirts. Whoosh! And then Rat noticed a huge rock by the side of a mountain. And she thought, I'm going to blow that rock off the mountain. And so she blew. Whoosh! But that rock was still. So she tried again. Whoosh! But still that rock was still. was determined and she thought, I'll try it one last time. Whoosh! But still that rock would not move. And Rat thought to herself, it's not so great to be a wind when something is just standing there and it can't be moved. But that rock, that would be great. So she said, I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a rock. Everyone, how I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a rock. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a rock. And Rat turned into a rock. It was a very shiny rock. You see, she felt safe and strong. And as she was being that rock, she heard a sound underneath her. And she realized it was digging inside a rat's burrow. And as she listened to that familiar sound, she started to remember how good it used to feel to be a rat. So she said, everyone, how I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a rat. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish I were a rat. And Rat turned back into a rat. And she lived happily with her ratty family in her ratty home for the rest of her ratty days. The end. Well, thanks for joining in with our rat story today, and I'll see you later. Bye.